Okay, so I'm going to say good morning to everybody and welcome to Experience It, Learn It, Use It. This is the 8th in our series of professional development webinars where you, the teacher, will become the student. You will learn teaching tips and ideas through taking part in the lesson because we believe the best way to learn something is by doing it. So thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Will Lashat and I am originally from the UK, but I now live in Singapore, and I've been living, teaching and training in ELT in Asia since 2001. And while we are talking about teaching, I'm just going to launch a very quick poll just to find out what kind of teachers we have with us today. So you should be able to see up on your screen the poll, which is what age groups do you teach? So this is multiple choice. So if you teach more than one of these, please select as many as you teach. So maybe you teach young learner and teens, for example, so you can select both. Okay, so I'll just have a few more, give you a few more seconds. Okay, so I think we've got about 2/3 of you have voted now. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll. And let's have a look at the results. Yeah, so we can see here that the majority of you, so 54% of you are teaching teens or secondary, and we have a lot of you teaching young adults or university, 35%, that's great. So yeah, so obviously the programs that we're looking at today, Pathways, are designed for they're academic, so they are designed really for this kind of secondary and young adult university segment. So that's perfect, that's good for me to know. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, so I'm just going to mention this. We will send you a follow-up email to this webinar, and that will go out tomorrow. And in that email that we send you tomorrow, it will contain links to the video recording of this session. There will be a short survey about the session. Please take the survey, and at the end of the survey, you will find the certificate. So you need to complete the survey and then you will get the certificate. You can download the certificate directly from the survey. Please make sure that you check your junk mail folder, as sometimes your email provider might filter our email in there. Okay, so yes, you will get the follow-up email with the certificate tomorrow. Okay, I just want to check. Yeah, okay, that's Kitty. Perfect. Thank you, Kitty. Okay, so today's lesson or today's webinar is from Pathways Foundations, and we're using Unit 2 from both of the programs. So we're looking at Career Paths and Love Your Job. These are the titles of Unit 2. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Pathways before we get started. So Pathways, this is the 2nd edition, and it is a global academic English program. There are 5 books for listening and speaking and critical thinking, and there are 5 books for reading and writing and critical thinking. So Pathways, it uses National Geographic stories, photos, videos, and infographics to really bring the world into the classroom. It has authentic and relevant content, carefully sequenced lessons, and you will find that it's very engaging for the learners, and it also equips them with all the skills they need for academic success if they're going on to study, particularly a university in English. So here is the listening and speaking series. You can see the foundations book that we're looking at today goes from CFR A1 to A2, and throughout the series it goes all the way up to CFR C1. So the foundations program we're looking at today is the kind of high beginning level. It's the same for reading and writing. Again, the same foundations and 4 levels with the same CFR leveling all the way through. I'm going to ask Kitty to put, if she hasn't already done it, into the chat box a link to a sampler. So we do have on our website, we have a sampler which will give you a lot of information about the program. It gives you sample units. So I really recommend that you go to our website and have a look at that. And you can really get some detailed information about the program and have a look at the units yourself. Okay, so the aims for Pathways, really we have three aims. So the first one is to develop students' academic literacy skills. A nice feature of Pathways is that the skills are very explicit on the page. I'll show you later. So the type of skill being learned is clearly signposted to the student. That's something I think is really important. The second aim is we want to connect students to the real world through the content. So it's not just about learning the academic skills, it's also about learning about the world, learning about the things around them, putting everything into context. And as we know, interesting content is absolutely key to engagement and therefore motivation and success. So mentioning success, the last aim of Pathways is to help our students achieve academically, which of course is every student's aim. Okay, so we're going to use a few different types of Zoom interaction today. You can see over here on the left, we've got the unmute and the video, start video buttons. So at different points in the webinar, I will ask you to unmute and to say something. Down in the participant box, so if you click here on the participant box, you should see these here. And if you click on these three dots, the menu, you should be able to see a button that says raise hand. So if you want to say something, if you want to ask a question, you can raise your hand. When we're doing the activities later, I will ask you to volunteer if you would like to unmute and say something, and you can do this by raising your hand, and then I will choose one of you to answer the question. Shall we try that now? Let's have a look. Can you, I'd like you just to go in and to the participant box, and can you just raise your hand now? Okay, Bethany's got it. Okay, great. I can see a lot of you going through. That's perfect. Okay, so I think a lot of you have got it. That's great. Can I ask you now to lower your hands? Okay, so there should be a button there for you just to lower your hand as well. Okay, well done everyone, very nice. Okay, so I can see that a lot of us are experts at using Zoom, perfect. Okay, so we're going to be using today to present the lesson, we're going to be using our classroom presentation tool. This is software that is available if your school is using the Pathways program. It's perfect for teaching online or in the classroom. As you will see today, the CPT has all of the resources that you need. So it has the student book content, the audio, the video, the answer keys. So everything is at your fingertips to deliver your lesson smoothly and professionally. It makes teaching easier for you and lessons more engaging for your students. So this is what we're using, the CPT. As I said, this is available to you if your school is using the Pathways program. Okay, so I am going to stop sharing for a second, and I am going to move over to my classroom presentation tool. Just bear with me for 1 second. Okay, just give me a second to make sure I'm in the right place here. Okay, so I think I'm ready. So let's go back in, share the screen. Okay, here we are. Okay, so as I said, today we're going to be talking about jobs. What I'd like you to do, you can see something up on your screen now. I would like you to type into the chat box for me. You can see a lady here, okay, on the screen. What do you think her job might be? Okay, please can you type into the chat box? Jacqueline says a photographer. It's a good guess. She's holding a camera. We've got here photographer. Bethany says astronaut. We had aerial photographer, very interesting, an observer. Okay, great. So we've got space photographer. Okay, great. Journalist. Okay, so we've got a lot of different ideas there. The most popular ones seem to be photographer and astronaut. Okay, so let's have a look. I'm just going to get rid of the zoom there. And if I show you the whole picture, we should be able to see, yeah, we can see that she is actually in the International Space Station. This is an astronaut. Her name is Samantha. She's from Italy. And here she is taking photographs of the world from the International Space Station. What an amazing feeling that must be. I would like to draw your attention to the title, okay, of the unit here. So zoom in on that. We can see here that the title is Career Paths. I mentioned a word earlier which is similar to the word career, which began with J. Can you type that into the chat box for me? Thank you, Kitty. You were first, Bethany second, okay. Fuyo is third with jobs. Okay, so career paths. Yeah, so basically this unit is about jobs. I think it's interesting, the collocation that we've got here, career path. So we often talk about a career path, and I think it gives us a clear understanding of what we mean by the word career. So if you think about the word path, can you type into the chat box, what's another example of a type of path that we often talk about? Another strong collocation for path. Yasuko has put way. Okay, yeah, so yeah, path, yeah, it does have this meaning of a way or a journey. That's right. Okay, Lilia, yeah, journey. I agree with you. We got here, Jens says forest or hiking. Yeah, so these kind of, the word path kind of, it has two very clear meanings. So the first meaning of a path is like a way to do something or a journey. So a sense of movement. And we know that in a career, we move through our career. When we have a job and we move on, we learn things, we progress. So the word path, that's the first meaning. Second meaning of the word path is actually the way to achieve something. So in both meanings of the word, it fits here with career path. Development is another, Emma, yeah, development is another very good word to use. And I think this word path, you know, a synonym is pathway, and that's the name of the title that we're looking at today. So I think it's a nice example here of talking about development, progress, movement. You know, things don't stand still when you're learning. It's all about that learning journey or that learning pathway. I think it's always good to have a look at the title of the unit, because your students, remember this is foundations, they might not understand it. So it's good to explain this collocation. It's good to explain, you know, what we mean by a career path. Okay, so if we go back to Samantha here, who is an astronaut. So she's an astronaut, but obviously she didn't start off as an astronaut. So can anyone have a guess for me in the chat box? What other jobs do you think she might have had? What background do you think she might have had to get to the position she is in as an astronaut? Can anyone have a guess for me what her background might be? Yasuku says a scientist. Emma says a professor. That's great. Scientist. Yeah, physicist. Okay, great. Yeah, so you're very close. She was an engineer at one point, and she had another. So after she was an engineer, she had another job, which is in between being an engineer and being in space. So not quite as high up as being in space, but quite high up in the air. Can you think of a job that involves being in the air, but not as high? Yeah, Jens and Lilia. Yeah, you've got it. So she was a pilot. So she was an Air Force pilot. So this was her career path. She went from being an engineer to an Air Force pilot and finally into being an astronaut. So I think she nicely illustrates what we're talking about when we say career path. Okay, great. So let's get in and have a look at some of the activities we're going to look at today. So this is, we're looking at the reading and writing, unit 2 at the moment. We can see down here the academic skills, you know, that we'll be learning in the unit, and we can see a couple of tasks down here. If I just click on the content note here, we will see that the CPT provides you with extra details, or we can find out here that Samantha actually spent 199 days consecutively in one go on the International Space Station, which at the time was a record. So yeah, almost 200 days in space. And that's a nice talking point for our students. So we're going to have a look at the at the exercise here, and we're talking about dream jobs. So first of all, we're going to have a look at a dream job as a child. I'm just going to highlight on the screen here. We've got some possible answers, and this is useful for sentence stems or, you know, prompts to help our students when they're answering. When I was a child, I wanted to be. When I was young. Yeah, so there's some nice language we can use. So again, I would like you to type into the chat box, when you were a child, okay, what was your dream job? So let's see how many different jobs that we had, dream jobs. So Wawan says doctor, Shafina says doctor as well. Alejandra says vet, which was my dream job as well. I wanted to be a vet. Cartoonist, doctor, teacher. I wanted to be a lawyer. Teacher, vet, flight attendant, teacher, educator, doctor. So a lot of different jobs. Hospital engineer, secretary, scientist or teacher, says Kitty. So we're getting a lot of the same kind of jobs there. That's very interesting. And let's have a look at the next question. What is your dream job now? Okay, so let's, we had all those from when you were a child. How about your dream job now? Is it different? So please type in your dream job now. Lecturer, teacher, Sophie says scientist, kombucha brewer, actress, gardener. Okay, good. And a lot of you are saying teacher or lecturer, which is good because I'm assuming we do have a lot of teachers with us today. Day trader, okay, one that's going for the big money there. YouTuber, okay, very on trend. Okay, perfect. So we've got a lot of nice suggestions here. And again, we've got the sentence stems here, which we can put up, you know, suggested answers, which are going to help the student to answer. Cecilia says, I want to be the most awesome teacher ever. Okay, that's great, Cecilia. I'm sure you are an awesome teacher. Okay, I'm going to launch another poll right now. So let me see. I'm going to relaunch a different poll. Let me get rid of that. Okay, end the polling. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to launch a different poll now. And first of all, I'm going to launch this one, which is about the top five jobs. So I'd like you to vote on here. So we're going to look at, in a minute, the top 5 most popular dream jobs worldwide. So I would like you to choose 5 from the list here. There are 10 on the list. It goes down to veterinarian at the bottom. The first one is athlete. The last one is vet. So I want you to choose 5. What do you think are the most popular dream jobs worldwide? Okay, so 30 of you have voted so far. Remember, you're choosing 5. Okay, choose 5 jobs. What do you think the top 5 are? Okay, about half of you have voted. I'm going to give you a few more seconds. And I'm going to make sure I write these down so we can check them later. Okay, a lot of you have voted, so I'm going to end the polling there. Okay, and I'm going to share the results with you. Okay, so let's see what we can see. So we've put, for number 1, 81% of you have put doctor. For number 2, we've put entrepreneur. Entrepreneur, or a business person, someone who sets up their own business. Okay, what have we got in third? Okay, I think third is pilot at 52%. After that, we have got singer. And after singer, we have got scientist. Okay, so collectively, your top 5 are doctor, entrepreneur, pilot, singer, and scientist. Okay, very interesting. We will come back to that in just a moment. I'm going to ask you one more poll before we move on, and this is related to yourself, and this is called Dream Job. So I would like you to answer. You're just going to pick one this time. Which answer is closest to the truth for you? So are you doing your dream job right now? Is your job similar to your dream job? Are you in the right industry and you believe one day you will get to that dream job? Maybe you've never thought about it at all. Maybe you've decided that you will never achieve your dream job. Maybe if your dream job is ice cream taster and you think there's no chance of having it. And finally, we've got my dream job is anything that pays me the big bucks, anything that brings in the money. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a few more seconds to answer. Okay, and this is interesting. Okay, so about 70% or 62% of you have voted. Let's give you a few more seconds. Let's get it up to 70%. Okay, that's close enough. All right, and I'm going to share the results with you. So we can see that's great. Okay, I'm really happy to see that. So 31% of you are already doing your dream job, which means you wanted to be a teacher and you are. And 20% of you are doing something very similar to your dream job. And a further 20% of you are in the right industry. So we can say half of you, over half of you are doing either your dream job or something very close to your dream job. So that is really, I'm really happy to see that. Okay, and I'm going to stop sharing the results now, and we're going to move on, okay, into the next part of the lesson. Okay, so as we go through here, we are going to see a nice, big, clear infographic. So pathways, the second spread of each of the units is this explore the theme spread. And yeah, as I said, it's a very clear infographic which is talking about dream jobs. This is something that is very useful, especially at this foundation level, because you know, students will be limited in how much reading they can, you know, how much they can actually read. But here we're presenting a lot of information in a different way, in a way that is accessible. We can also use this for discussion points. We can use it for asking and answering questions. So we said earlier that the top 5 jobs were doctor, entrepreneur, pilot, singer, and scientist. Now, just by studying this infographic, can anybody type into the chat box what actually are the top 5 jobs around the world? So you can see some different icons representing different jobs. So can anyone type in what are the actual top 5? So I'll just wait for someone to put that in the chat box. We've got lawyer. Someone circled it for me. Okay, very nice. Okay, so over here. Yeah, great. So we've got here engineer. Okay, pilot, we've got doctor or nurse, scientist, and we've got teacher. So ones that we said doctor. Okay, so we did get that one. And we said pilot, and we said scientist. Okay, so you said doctor, you said entrepreneur and singer, which was not the case. It's actually engineer and teacher. Okay, but we got 3 out of the 5, so that's very close. What we're looking at here, someone just put in actor and actress. You're looking at actor and you're looking at a singer over here. What is this graphic here showing? So over here we had the dream jobs around the world. How about this little box here? What information is this showing us? This is in the US, that's right. And what do you notice here? Why are there 2 different lists? So we've got a list here and a list here. So in the US, we've got 2 lists here. Yeah, we've got men and women. And it's quite interesting to see that the different genders have quite different priorities and quite different lists. We can see that the top job for men is athlete, whereas the top job for women is teacher. And, you know, that's something that would be a great discussion point, you know, to use with students. Like, why do they think that is? You know, why is it that more women want to be teachers and more men want to be athletes? So really nice information, clearly presented, great for launching a discussion. Okay, Noma is asking if you will get the recording at the end of the meeting. You will. We will send you the recording in an email tomorrow, Noma, so don't worry. Okay, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit on the information here. So earlier on, we found out that 51% of you are actually in your dream job or doing something similar. So I'd like you to see in here, can you find out for me, according to the survey that they did, what percentage of people actually worldwide have their dream job or a job that is similar to it? So have a look in there. Can you find the percentage? Andy is first. Congratulations, Andy. And you're right. So it says here, we can see 30% of people are actually in their dream job or something similar. And which means that the people here today, you we have a much higher rate. We had 51%, which means I can read between the lines there, which means that teachers on the whole are happy in their jobs. And that actually links in with something we're going to look at later on. I'm going to ask you another question here about dream jobs. This survey, where did they get the information from? So who did they interview? They interviewed 8,000 people, but from where? Where were these 8,000 people from? And Antoinette is right, from LinkedIn, and from LinkedIn all around the world. That's right. So LinkedIn, I'm sure a lot of you are on it already. It's a bit like Facebook, but for business. So this is a worldwide survey from the website LinkedIn. This is another nice link to real life. You know, you could get your students to, if they don't know about LinkedIn, you could show them it, and you could show them how to get on there, add their profile, okay, and you know, make professional links there, which would be really useful for them. Someone said, is it valid? Is it valid? Well, I mean, 8,000 is I think is a decent survey size. You know, it's not the biggest survey that's ever been done, but I think from 8,000 you can get a pretty good estimate of how people feel. Okay, very nice. And let's just going to draw your attention here as well to the Explore the Theme box in here. So we can see that there are some other questions here which we could get students to ask and answer in pairs. So in which places is engineer the top dream job? So let's have a look at that question. I'm going to ask you. So can you type into the chat box for me, which countries is engineer the top job? So India, Brazil, okay, UAE, India, Indonesia, Sweden. Okay, so we can see a lot of countries, and the country that I'm in now, so in Singapore. So I can see here by looking at this infographic that in Singapore, engineer is the top job. I know a lot of you today are logging in from Indonesia. So we can see that Indonesia, that a lot of people wanted to be, or would like to be, their dream job would be engineer. So I'm not sure if you knew that already. Hopefully we've learned something today. Let's just try one more. How about in, can you tell me doctor? So which countries have doctor as the top dream job? Okay, South Africa and New Zealand, there we go. So 2 Southern Hemisphere countries put doctor or nurse as the absolute top job. Okay, very nice. And yeah, as I said earlier, this explore the topic. There's so much you can do with this, and it's really a great way to introduce the topic. You can get them to research it. You know, university students, you could get them. You know, if maybe you think that the information is not accurate, you could actually get them to research it on the internet and find different sources. You could then get them to compare the sources that they found. So there's really, you know, a lot of things we can do with this. Okay, wonderful. Right, we are now going to swap onto the other CPT. So at the moment we're looking at reading and writing. Before we do, I'm just going to quickly run you through the unit and just show you how the unit is structured. So that was all pre-reading. When we go on to the reading activities here, we can see that we start off with pre-reading. We have vocabulary tasks, and what I really like about this is we actually have it's not just teaching the vocabulary, there are actually discussion tasks and you know, tasks where they use the vocabulary before they actually read it. Now, often in programs that I've seen, books that I've seen, this kind of vocabulary usage usually comes after the reading. You know, but it's really good to put it there before, because then by using the vocabulary before they read it, the teacher can check that they've really got a good understanding of the language. So it's a type of formative assessment before we even get into the reading. So I think that makes sense to have it before. Then we can see that we have reading skills. Here it's skimming, and we have, as I mentioned earlier, something I really like, explicitly telling us what type of question they're answering. So they're going to practice the reading skill. And then we go into the reading with a nice picture here. And then here, the words in blue, this is the target vocabulary, the key vocabulary that they're learning. And then after they've done the reading, we've then got the comprehension questions. And again, we are explicitly telling them which type of questions that they are answering, including a strong critical thinking element here included in the reading lesson. All of the activities on the CPT are interactive, so we can actually go in and we can do them with the students, we can choose the answers, we can get the students to take part. Okay, let's have a look. There then is another, reading lesson, and we also have a video lesson. After the second reading lesson, as part of, it's the same structure, but as part of the critical thinking there, we have this synthesizing activity where we actually get them to compare both of the articles. So both of the articles are similar about careers, and we then get them to think about, analyze the different information they learn and discuss the similarities and differences. In the writing, we'll quickly talk about this. In the writing, we do have grammar reference and grammar section here. So it's a grammar point which is related to the writing task. Remember, this is foundation, so it's A1, A2 level. And again, what's important here with the grammar is that it's not just doing the grammar, we have an activity here to find someone who, so we're actually getting them straight away to practice that grammar and to use it in speaking. We then go into editing practice, and I really like that this is called editing practice, because I feel that by highlighting that it is editing, it's signposting to the students that this is what they should be doing to their own work. If we just say correct the sentence, it's not so clear that that's what they should be doing. But by saying editing, we can get students into the habit of editing their own work. And that's something that, in my experience, students don't automatically do. And we want to get them in that habit. We then go through more language, verb and noun collocations. And finally, we move on to the writing task. You can see here it's very, very structured. We have a goal, so the students know what the goal is. We then have a planning stage where they will do, they think of their ideas. We have a model here which they can use to help them write their first draft. They can discuss their ideas, then write their first draft, and then we have an editing section. So it's very structured, and at this level, we're just getting them to write sentences. So one sentence about a plan that they have, and one sentence of something they need to achieve it. So basically, they're writing 2-sentence paragraphs which are linked, and they do that 3 times. So it's a very achievable aim, and it's one that is very well structured, which will help the students to feel that they're achieving it. We then have this very clear unit review of what they've learned, and we have flashcards and games in here to practice what they've done. Okay, so that's a quick run through of what they can expect in the reading and writing foundations level. Okay, I'm going to swap over, okay, into my other CPT, and we're going to have, for the next sort of 20 minutes, we're going to have a look at the listening and speaking level. So we've gone into here. The structure is the same as in the reading and writing. So we have that unit opener with a nice picture and think and discuss. We have the skills being learnt. We then have this the infographic and the explore the theme, which is the launch pad to the unit. And we then go into the different lessons. Here's vocabulary. And what we're going to do, we're actually going to do some of the listening. So let's have a go, a couple of the activities here. So we've got a before listening task, which would be done as a discussion task, where we've got 6 elements here, which we're talking about. You can see from the title, it's an online lecture, and the title of the lecture is Who's Happy at Work? So we've got these 6 things. I would like you just to tell me, from these 6 things I've put up on the screen now, which of these 3 things, so I want you to choose 3, which of these 3 things do you think are most important for you to be happy at work? So we've got money, friendly people, exciting work, creating things, a good boss, and helping others. Okay, so if you can see the poll there, yeah, just choose 3. I've just taken these exactly from the materials in the book. I'm doing it as a poll so that we can easily see the answers, because if I just ask you to annotate or type in the chat box, I can't really see how many of you are choosing which option. Obviously in the classroom, you could do this as a discussion and you could get people to hold up their hands. Okay, so I think we've got about 2/3 of you have voted. So let's have a look. I'm going to end the poll and share the results. So we can see here that that's interesting. Almost 80% of you feel that friendly people is the most important. Just over half of you have chosen money as second. And third and fourth, very similar, 50 and 46%. We've gone for exciting work and a good boss. Yeah, so friendly people, number one, then money, then interesting work, and then a good boss. Okay, helping people and creating things, a little bit lower on the list there. Okay, great, perfect. So we're now going to listen and we're going to find out a little bit about what this online lecture says. Let's have a look at the task here. Okay, so the task, it's a gist task. We're going to listen to the lecture and we're going to choose the main idea. The gist task, we've got choosing the best job, what makes people happy at work, the world's happiest jobs, and how to be happy at work. So I'm just going to play the first few seconds just to demonstrate. Okay, so let's listen and see.
Page 26. Exercises B and C. Online lecture. Who is happy at work?
Are you satisfied with your work? Today we are talking about job satisfaction, or the things people need to be happy at work. What do
Okay, I'm going to stop there, and we've already heard the answer. So I would like you to, you can use the annotate tools, okay, at the top of your screen. So if you can take an annotate tool, I'd like you to click, which one do you think is the correct answer? So we did hear it there. I can see someone annotating. I'm not sure. Okay, there we go. So a few of you, one of you, someone's gone for 1. Sean's gone for number 2. What makes people happy at work? We've got a few hearts there, a tick. Okay, I'm going to clear the annotations there. And let's have a look at the answer. The correct answer is number 2. It's about what makes people happy at work. We are going to listen to the whole listening, but I just wanted to show you a few things. So we can actually do the activity through this icon here, or we can play the audio.
Page 26.
We can play the audio by clicking on the headphone icon. This is good because we can show the script, and we can also have that very big. So if you're in the classroom, you can actually show this, and students sitting at the back will be able to see it. So let me just demonstrate what that looks like.
Exercises B and C. Online lecture. Who is happy at work?
Are you satisfied with your work? Today we are talking about job satisfaction, or the things people need to be happy at work.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there. Now, so obviously this is a listening task. So the first time we play this, we don't want to show them the listening script. But it's really useful to have the listening script here, because after you check the answers, when students have listened maybe twice, maybe the third time you listen, you want to show them that so that they can really, the students who got something wrong, by reading it, they'll be able to see, where they made the mistake. What is also really useful about this, you can see as I hover over each line, it goes green, and that means I can actually access from the exact line that I want. So if I want to start here.
Finally, people want to have happy coworkers. Finally, people want to have happy coworkers. Finally, people.
And you can see I can click on that as many times as I want. So that's great. If people miss something, if they're having problems understanding a particular phrase or sentence, we can click on it and students can hear it. It's great. We can use it as a model so students can repeat individual sentences. So this is really, really useful stuff to have in the class. But that's not all. We have another way that we can present this, which is the way that we're going to do it. So it says it's a video. It's actually like a slide presentation, and this is supposed to be a lecture. So we would assume that a university lecture would have some kind of visuals. So we're going to watch it like this. So as we watch the lecture, I would like you to think about these questions here. So I'm just going to show you briefly. There are some true or false questions. There's a question about money. There's a question about looking for a job that helps people. There's a question about people are happy when they can create things. Many people don't want to work with other people, and not many teachers like their jobs. So obviously before we do the task, we would get the students to read these, we'd get them to think about it, they could discuss, they could guess what answer they thought is correct. And then we can actually go into the material. So I've shown you those so you can have a little think about it. Okay, and now we're actually going to go in and listen to, and watch, listen and watch.
Are you satisfied with your work? Today we are talking about job satisfaction, or the things people need to be happy at work. What do you think is most important to people? You might be surprised that it is not money. One thing that many people look for, a job that helps other people. In general, people want to help other people. They want to make the world a better place. Teachers are normally at the top of the list of happiest jobs. Every day, teachers help people learn and grow. Think about your favorite teacher. Most likely, he or she was happy at work. Another thing people want from a job is to create things. They want to use their minds. They don't want to be in a boring job. They don't want to sit at a desk every day and look at a computer. Engineers are also usually at the top of the list of happiest jobs. Engineers create new products. It's very exciting when they finally see their new product. When was the last time you made something? Did it make you happy? Also, people want their boss to thank them for the work they do. When a boss thanks their workers for their good work, they feel more satisfied with their jobs. And when people are satisfied in their jobs, they try hard. Finally, people want to have happy coworkers. Everybody wants to enjoy their day at work. When coworkers work hard, like their job, and are friendly, there's a good work environment. A job is a lot of fun when you work together with other happy people. Of course, there are other things that people look for in a job. Money matters, and where you work is important. But overall, being happy is most important to many people.
Okay, perfect. There we go. So I really like this this way of presenting, with the slides there. I think that, assuming that we are preparing students to go into perhaps university and to be listening to lectures in English, this is really useful practice. It's very challenging for students to attend university and to take effective notes, to understand and to take notes from lectures. And I think having these slides here, this is really, really useful, because if you notice, the words that came up on the slides are essentially the key points. So we could use this, for note-taking practice as they listen. They will be able to read and hear the key points at the same time, and you could get them to write them down. So they could use this to help them understand, but also to practice note-taking. I think we could use that. It would be perfect if we turn the sound off. We could actually get them to present later on, once they've studied more of the language and they've got their own ideas. We could actually use that, put it on the screen with a partner. They could present to their partner using the slides that are there, to actually get a little bit of practice in presenting themselves as well. That is actually the final task for the unit, is to make a presentation about themselves. Okay, but they could use this one for practice. So a lot of really nice things we can do with that. Let's go and have a look at the answers. So we've got here, many people say that money is the most important thing. Let's have a look. Let's try doing this. And rather than, I've actually done this as a as a true or false quiz, as a poll. So question 1, many people say that money is the most important thing in a job. So not according to what we said, according to the lecture we listened to. Can you give me the answer there? So 3 of you have voted. How many of you think that this is true and how many think it's false? How many people say that money is the most important thing in a job? Okay, I'll just give you a few more seconds. Okay, and I'm going to end the polling, okay, and share the results. And we can see that 75% of you say it's false, which is the correct answer, and 25% of you said it was true. Okay, so this is a really nice way if you are teaching online, again, as a type of formative assessment, because I can see exactly how many of you understand, okay, and how many would need to listen again. So rather than just automatically listening again, we could make sure we do all the questions like this, and then I have a good idea of how many people got them right, and also which questions they got wrong, okay, without having to ask people individually. So let's do one more. Let's try the one at the bottom, number 5. Okay, so number 5, it says not. Let me relaunch. Okay, let me relaunch the poll. Okay, I've relaunched it. We're doing question number 5. Not many teachers like their jobs. Okay, not many teachers like their jobs. Okay, true or false? Not many teachers like their jobs. Okay, I'm going to give you a few seconds. Okay, and I'm going to end the poll. Okay, and we're going to have a look at the results. And we can see here that 73% of you got the answer right. It is false. Actually, many teachers like their jobs. Most teachers like their jobs. They mentioned specifically that teachers are happy in their jobs, so that's great for us to know. We're in the right industry. And I can see that, again, it's about the same amount, about a quarter of you, okay, got the answer wrong. So that would show me that it would be worth playing this again, okay, for, you know, because I have about 25% who didn't get the right answer. Okay, very nice, perfect. Let me get rid of the poll there. I'm going to stop sharing the results and get rid of that. Okay, now we only have a few minutes left, so I'm just going to very quickly show you some other things in the unit. So what we've got next is this listening skill, listening for signposts. And I mentioned earlier on that students often have problems listening to academic lectures, and this is one of the main themes of this unit, is listening for these signposts. And I think it's such an important skill to be able to identify these key words, first, second, third, one reason, another point, because it alerts us that now is the time we really need to pay attention. So especially for note-taking, this is a really useful skill. This is repeated throughout the unit. We also have grammar here. We have pronunciation in the listening and speaking book. And yeah, just going through, we have more critical thinking, categorizing. And there are a few points in the unit where we're going to use this identifying signposting language to really help students to practice it and to get to grips with it. And if I just go through, I'm flicking through because of time. If we go through to the end of the unit here, I want to have a look at this final task. And the final task here is actually, as I mentioned earlier, to give a presentation about their dream job. And just like with the reading and writing, it's very structured. First of all, they're going to actually discuss with a partner. So they ask their partner questions, because a lot of people won't know what their dream job is. So they can discuss it. They can then think about the things they like doing. And all of this will help them to prepare. On the following page, we go through and we can see that we then get them to organize their ideas. There is also a presentation skill on how to close the presentation. And then we also give them a model. So they have a model to read, which they can base their presentation off. Then they practice giving with a partner. And then finally, if you want them to, they can give the presentation to the class. So as I said, it's very, very structured, gives students all of the scaffolding they need. You don't have to do it as a presentation to the class. There are other ways that you could do this final task. I'm going to now swap back to my PowerPoint deck, because there's just one more thing I want to show you. Okay, and we're going to go into, I'm going to go in here. Okay, yeah, so the final thing I want to show you is the rubrics which actually come with the program. So we just looked at the final task for the listening and speaking, presenting your dream job. So for every task we have here, we actually have a rubric which can be or should be given to the students by the teacher. So, you know, whenever we're giving a task which we're going to assess students on, we need to make it very clear what the students are being assessed on. So we can see here that they're the criteria. So it's speaking clearly about a dream job, using the correct forms, and the present simple is the grammar which is practiced in that unit. It's using the listing words that we just looked at. Okay, so first, second, third. Okay, one thing I would like. Okay, the second thing I would like. Also, finally, and using phrases to close the presentation which is presented in that presentation section. So this can be used in a variety of ways. I'll just give you a few suggestions. One way is, I mean, the teacher can show it to the students and then you could watch them individually and the teacher could mark it. Secondly, you could get them to present in groups. You can see there are 3 columns here. So if you put them in groups of 4, and then they can actually grade their peers. Now that often doesn't work particularly well, I find, if you just get them to do that first. So one thing you can do before getting them to do that is, if the teacher asks, maybe the first time you do a presentation, the teacher gets a few students to model, and the teacher gives them a score, and you ask the students to score them at the same time, and then you can compare what the teacher gave with what the students gave. Because I often find that students can be either too generous or too mean. And you know, they're not always on, you know, right on the mark. So that would give the students a good idea. By if they and the teacher are grading the same presentation, they'll get a good idea of you know, whether they're being too generous or too mean. So we could do that first. Secondly, you know, you could show them the rubric. You could get them to record the presentation at home. And then, you know, you as the teacher could watch the recording and you could give them a mark. So there are lots of different ways we could do this. We also have these rubrics for the writing, and this makes it really, really, you know, clear to the student what they're doing well and what they need to improve on. And it also makes it easy for the teacher. So yeah, you can see there are 4 criteria. So we have the content, the vocabulary, and 2 more. We have the grammar, and we have spelling and punctuation. But what I like about this is it's really geared to the right level. Okay, so when it's talking about grammar, for example, it says few grammatical errors, but it's focusing particularly on subject verb agreement, verb tense agreement, use of conjunctions, because these are the things they are studying at this level. You know, we can't mark an A1 student's grammar. You know, we can't really grade them on things that they haven't studied yet. You know, so if they're attempting more complex structures, we shouldn't knock them down for that. You know, we should support them with that. So we're really focusing on these things here. I've got a question here from Uyen. The teachers, do they have access to the rubrics in the teacher's notes? I took these from the companion site, but yes, I think they are in the back of the teacher's book as well. I don't know if Kitty or someone else can confirm that. I think they are. But definitely you can print them from the teacher's resources on the teacher's companion site. Okay, so so I just thought I'd talk a little bit about assessing these kind of big tasks at the end. So we're almost at the end of our time. So I'm just going to open this up now to any questions that we might have. So if you have any questions, you can type them into the chat box for me, or if you prefer, you can unmute and you can ask me a question. I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. So any questions regarding regarding the materials we just looked at, or regarding pathways in general, or just anything at all? Yeah, pathways is only for English, so it's academic English, and it's split into, so Nicholas, yeah, split into two. So we have the reading and writing and the listening and speaking. But yes, it's only for English. Andy's asking about the presentation tool. So yeah, the presentation tool that I used, it is available if your school is using the program. Then we will give the presentation tool to your school. It is available online to download, or it is available via a USB thumb drive. But it is something that we don't sell it separately individually. It is something that is part of the materials we offer to schools using using pathways. Okay, Andy, so I hope that answers your question. Do I think 90 minutes is sufficient for an entire chapter? No, I don't. So I think that a whole unit would take more than 90 minutes. I think I can't remember off the top of my head. Maybe Kitty, you can help me. Each unit, I think it's more like 3 or 4 hours per unit. I think that no, 90 minutes, you would really be struggling to get through a whole unit in 90 minutes. I think that it deserves a lot more time than that. How much does it cost? Pelinda, I'm not sure if you're referring to the book or the classroom presentation tool, but if you are interested in that, we can contact you, and we can put you in touch with one of our sales reps who will be able to show you the cost of things, the pricing, Belinda. So in the survey, if you say that you're interested in finding out about prices, then we will contact you directly and tell you. I can't answer here because it's different. The prices is quite complicated, so I don't know the prices for all the different elements. Let's see. Thank you, Julie, for putting that in. Yeah, the speaking rubrics and the writing rubrics are on the companion site there. Nicholas is asking the book grades for pathways, elementary, junior or senior. No, so Nicholas, there are 5 levels and they are done by CFR levels. So it's going from an A1, A2, which is kind of high beginner. And then it goes right the way through to C1, which is a kind of advanced level. Yeah, so it goes through the levels, yeah, right the way through the CFR levels. Okay, great. Renee's asking, how do we bring these standards down to the levels of very young learners and YLs? I mean, really, Renee, it's a good question. I don't really have time to go into that in a lot of detail now. I mean, these materials are they're not designed for very young learners and young learners. I think you know, we do have other programs which are designed for very young learners and young learners. And in fact, we have one next week. We have another session next week, which is about young learners. So I'm going to move on to that and use that as my segue. So our upcoming webinar next week is with our academic marketing manager, Kitty Jang, and she is going to be doing a very exciting lesson from Explore Our World, which is one of our young learner programs. It's called Long Ago and Today. Kitty, is there anything you would like to add here? About your webinar?
I just put the registration link in the chat box. And yeah, so that is a primary program, and it's from, the demo lesson is from lesson 4, so which is about like a 10 or 11-year-old kids. Yeah, we will focus on how to teach reading and grammar for that age. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Kitty. Okay, so we are at the hour. Okay, I think it's 1 minute past. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed having a look at our academic programs. I think they're fantastic programs. They have so much variety in them. There are so many different types of activities. There's a lot of communication in there, as well as even in the reading and writing, and students will learn a lot of English. They'll learn about the world, and they will enjoy their lessons with you if you're using it. Thank you very much for joining us. I will stay online for the next few minutes if you have more questions, but I'm going to end the video recording now.